All right, we're going to do a small series here to start off with, see how people like it. We're going to do a small series on painting small figures. Going to be doing a lot of Warhammer 40k stuff and whatnot, but the main goal with these videos is to try to pass along just a little bit that I've learned over the years to people that are just starting out, try to give people a starting point, because I know that I struggled for years and years and years, so I'm trying to make even more videos to flood YouTube with to help people out. First thing I want to cover, let's say you've got your models and you're looking to paint them, you want to know kind of where to start. This episode, what we're going to go over is just brush care. I'm going to assume that you've got your paint and your brushes, and you've already got your model built, you're just ready to paint. This episode, we're just going to focus on how do I take care of my brushes so that they last longer, they don't get ruined, they don't get frayed, they don't get messed up, that kind of thing. So there's a very simple way that I use to clean my brushes. There's all kinds of different schools of thought and whatnot, so I'm not going to go into this is the best way or the only way or anything. I'm just going to show you my way of doing things, and if it helps you, awesome. You know, if you know a better way or you want to leave something in the comments explaining, a different method that I should try using or something, totally feel free. It's constructive. It's exactly what we're looking for. But this is just the stuff that I've figured out. All right. For me, I use a pot of water, I use a pot of Simple Green, and I use some of my girlfriend's conditioner. Okay, this is why. I want to be able to rinse off the majority of the paint from my brush. If I've got paint that's starting to harden, starting to dry on the bristles, I want something that can help break that up a little bit and get that off the brush, make it a little bit easier so I'm not sitting there with like my thumbnail or something ruining the bristles trying to get the paint off. And then I want to hydrate those bristles. The majority of your brushes are going to be made with real hair. There is some synthetic stuff out there as well, but this isn't going to hurt that either. But for the most part, it's real hair we're dealing with brushes. So there's nothing wrong with putting some conditioner in there and giving it longer life, helping it keep its shape better, and just overall, it's just good brush care. For years, I did not do that, and once I started doing it, I was like, oh my god, I wish somebody had explained this to me a lot sooner in my hobby field. So when I'm done painting, even when I'm getting ready to, sometimes if my brush is hard, I like to loosen things up, right? Now, the way I do this, I'm not jabbing down into it, right? It'll mess up your bristles. You want to go down a bit of an angle, and what you're doing is you're brushing the bottom of the water pot, right? And you're going to do this with the Simple Green, too. Okay, what you're doing is you're brushing the bottom. You never want to go straight down into something. There's certain painting techniques where you do that, but you use special brushes for that. And by special brushes, I mean brushes that you don't care if they get ruined. So you just want to go like that, kind of twist the brush in your fingers a little bit. Make sure you get all the paint out of there, right? Maybe wipe some of the water off here. Simple Green, same thing. Just make sure there's no hard paint in there, kind of loosen things up a bit. You want to get all that chemical out of there best you can. Now, you can just put a little bit of like Dawn dish soap in the water pot and call it a day. That'll help break up drying paint and whatnot as well. But I personally prefer using Simple Green. That works best for me. That's what I like doing. Okay, we're going to dry that off. Grab a little piece of... I use toilet paper. I mean, that might not be the correct way to put it, but that's what I like to use to dry my brushes off with. Works fine, readily available. McDonald's napkins, whatever, will work. There's no problem with any of that. But all right, you get the majority of the water off, and then nice big helping of conditioner, right? And I like to just take my fingers, just work that conditioner in there, just massage it into the bristles real good. So while I'm doing this, I'll talk about something else that's kind of related. When you're painting, right? When you're putting paint on your brush. Okay, you're loading your brush is what we call that. When you're loading your brush, you don't want the paint getting deep inside these bristles into the center of the brush. Okay, that's not what you're looking for. If you do that, then that paint that's in the center is going to harden as it dries. It's going to be a nice big clump right in the center while you're trying to paint, and it's gonna push the bristles in the brush apart, right? It's gonna because that paint's hardening in there. You don't want that. You don't want that at all. So another good thing about using conditioner, it's filling up the inside of that brush so that the paint can't penetrate in. You only really want to keep the paint on the outside of the brush. It's going to go in the bristles a little bit, but you don't want it getting in the center there and drying out and turning into a clump. Okay. Quick little jiggle in the water to get the conditioner that's on the outside of the brush off so that the paint will get picked up. Load the brush. But we do want to leave conditioner in the center. Now, I'm not sure if my camera will pick this up. This brush has actually been snipped a little bit. Some of the bristles have actually been cut off with scissors. And look at how clean that shape still is on there, just from being able to use the conditioner and get it to that nice sharp point. That is the trick. I struggled for years keeping the tips of my brushes nice and sharp so I could paint eyeballs and things on small figures. And dude, I'm telling you, conditioner's the way to go. So there's all kinds of little figures I got painting over here right now. I got a lot of Death Guard stuff out at the moment from the 40K range. But here, you can probably see on this one really good. You can see how small the detail is on these models. So you need really, really small brushes to do a lot of these fine details, like the strap going right here. You got his teeth in there. I think I've got here you go, this guy. Yeah, let me see if I can adjust my camera a little bit more for you. There we go. Yeah, so this guy, you can barely see the tip of this brush here. Yeah. And you can see how big my fingers are too. This is why you want to make sure you have that nice clean tip on your brushes, and you're not going to be loading a lot of paint on there either for doing this nice small detail work. It's going to be nice and small. Okay, that is my method for keeping my brushes clean. Hopefully that sheds some light on that process and you're able to figure out what works best for you and what's within your budget and whatnot. There's also one more thing I wanted to touch on in this quick brush care video. Actually, a couple more things. I lied. So my ex-wife got me this, so I don't remember where she got it, but there are some actual for dried acrylic and oil color. So it says non-hazardous and all this good stuff, low vapor, right? Well, one thing you got to look out for on these is why I use Simple Green instead of stuff like this usually. This is going to be really good for like a brush that your kid used and it's all screwed up and everything. You got to get all the paint off of there. But be very careful because you're working with plastic models. Use a non-plastic container for soaking. Okay? This stuff, and I don't know how they got it in a plastic bottle here. This stuff straight up eats plastic. These little pots I'm using, they're plastic. This stuff ate right through them, ruined several brushes. It's powerful stuff. So I use a shot glass now when I have to use this stuff. But for the most part, that's why I prefer the Simple Green. It's not going to eat my models if it gets on my models by mistake. It's not going to ruin my brushes. This one is one that I got that I cleaned in that brush cleaner. I took the paint right off the handle, like within 2 seconds. Just whoop, So there are cleaners you can use like that, and they're effective, but they're much more hazardous. You gotta be very careful with them. So if you go that route, just be sure that you read the labels. You know what you're getting into. One more thing I wanted to get into. It's good to have a place to keep your brushes. Nice cheap brush holder at Walmart like this works wonders. Keeps all the bristles up so that they're not laying down. For years, I just kept them laying on the table like that. Then the cats will mess with them and stuff. Put them up. Put them up something cheap so that they're not gonna have any problems. I did experiment trying to build some racks to hold them upside down so that gravity wouldn't mess with the bristles. But that's far overkill. You don't need something like that. Just something to keep them where they go. Place for everything and everything in its place, right? All right. That's all I've got for brush care. Thank you. I hope it helped. And please leave some feedback in the comments on stuff that you either learned from the video or that I could learn myself. Thank you.